Yeah, everyone, this is Thermites, and this is Weekly Shonen Jump for the week of November 20th, 2020. On the cover, we've got Sakamoto Days, which looks like... I really like this image, because, usually the debut cover is the image they'll use for, the preview for these. And, that always makes me go, okay, is this iconic? Does this tell me what the series is about? And to differing degrees, they do. Chainsaw Man's is pretty evocative, but this is not really what the series is about. In a very broad way, maybe, but not really. Where something like We Never Learn does have this very strong, you got the boy, you got the girls, you got test stuff in the backgrounds. Or with Undead Unluck, you've got, this really weird-looking male protagonist and this more normie female protagonist. There's a little bit of fan service in there. Like, you get a lot from this vibe. And I really like that this one is like a singular person and that we have like the juxtaposition of the scanner gun and the real gun. He's wearing a convenience store outfits. He's like, you can't tell what his expression truly is because he's got the mustache and he's got the eyeglasses. Like, I can equally see him, like this face, on a kindly old convenience store worker who's like giving a free candy to a kid, or like a stone cold killer. So I do think this is a really strong first image. This does give me, like, especially the backgrounds, it really gives me like the first chapter of Spy Family vibes, where the first chapter is like, it is comedic, but at the same time, like by the second half, like the mangaka expects you to sympathize with Lloyd. Like, you're supposed to take the action seriously. You don't, like, you are not expecting the action to end with a gag or anything. It is like a clear, there is like, there's some grit to this. Whereas a series like Me and Roboco is very comedic, and if there's any action in it, it is like it immediately undercuts itself. It never asks you to take it seriously or to take the peril that the characters are in very seriously. Based on like the character design and the background, this does give me a very big like, this is going to be a series with goofs, but also a series where you do take the main character seriously. And I think also that, like, because he doesn't look like a traditional shonen protagonist, that also adds to it. Like, there is definitely a big push now in culture for non-normie looking protagonists. Because then you get the surprise of, oh wow, I didn't, someone like this couldn't be this strong, or someone like this wouldn't be like this. But then as the series goes on, you also have a character that your readers take seriously as a big badass, without them looking like super typical. Anyways, that is my deep dive analysis of the cover. Let us jump right into Black Clover, page 272, Dark Prison Hunting Grounds. So we got a color page, and it's a good color page. So they got their mom in the background. Honestly, she looks a little creepy with the smile. I'm not gonna lie there. This smile looks creepy. Like, it is the lines only, like no lips, no like real definition to it, no warmth. So Yuki Tabata, maybe a little missed there, but it is a good image. And they do feel like brothers now. Like, yeah, especially the hair. I mean, obviously, like this design is based on Asta's design, so it's not like there's an obvious reason in universe why they would look similar. But at the same time, like, I think the height really also helps. That when we saw Liba in silhouette form, he was always very lanky. Like, his midsection was always stretched out, and like his arms were more stretched out. Like that, when I think of the devil in the grimoire, I do think of someone who looks like that. Like, it's very non-human proportions, or very, like, stretched proportions. Whereas Liba's form here, based on Asta, looks much more human, looks much more young. I think it was a really good choice to have him be like this. In the same way that, like, for instance, um, like in Bleach, you got Hollow Ichigo, and I think Hollow Ichigo is a really, really good design because it is literally just Ichigo but edgier. Whereas, like, the Nine-Tailed Fox, you're not supposed to think of the Nine-Tailed Fox as being evil Naruto. Like, there's not supposed to be a parallel there. And so, like, the separation really works for me. What am I talking about? Let's move on. Okay, so starting off with Yuno instead of Asta. Honestly surprised. Like, I thought we were going to have, like, an entire mini arc fully encapsulated with, Asta and Liba training. Like, it makes sense that this would be where we would move away. So we don't, like, that would also mean that they could fight all of, like, they could fight all four, like, demon fusion forms without us, the readers, knowing about all four of them. Which I think makes sense narratively. Also, I can't look at this without thinking that Yuno's been like doing Rasengan training. Also, actually, I don't remember. Was Langris kicked out of the Golden Dawn? Okay, I've worked out a way to defeat Xenon. Hmm. So he'd learned that, but these strikes aren't like deep. Or I guess that might be the point, actually. That instead of going for like a big piercing lance attack, he's going for a more like wide, strong attack. Maybe. I thought you needed an opponent who had spatial magic. Okay. Hmm. All right. I mean, I'm curious to see what Langris's arc is going to be after this. I kind of thought, like, with the end of the tournament, that felt like a good place to leave him and to leave Finral's arc as well, or, like Finral's connection to Langris. But if he's willing to help out, maybe we are going to get some level of Langris redemption. Ah, okay, I thought it was going to be a really long cutaway, but nope, still here. Yeah, and he's, like, Noctis still using his first, like, Wolfie form. Huh. Even though when I'm in black mode and get hurt, he does too. Is this a trap? Is this a trap? Okay, so, like, the resistance made those. Cool. This is so instantly iconic. This is one of the few scenes I really want to see in the anime, honestly. Also, I mean, because they did it as a goof, I want to see them actually do it for realsies at some point as not a goof. Wait, is he, they're brothers? Huh. I mean, to be fair, like, I guess we don't know. Like, we know that Yami went to, I just had his name on the tip of my tongue. He went to Henry's house and said, "Hey, we're gonna live here. I'm gonna, fill this place up with people with lots of energy." Like, but we don't. I guess he could have lived with Noct. Like, that could have just been part 2 of the story, or part 0.5, where he met Noct first and then went to Henry's house and then said, "Hey, I'm taking it over." I mean, it could also be a non-literal brother. Like, they're just friends and they use, the term brother to refer to each other. Also, actually, is this Henry? Like, moron, what's tiring about being free? Like, when would they have said that? Because he hasn't been around since, like, Henry was just sort of hiding for most of the series. Or, until he revealed himself and did the big mecha thing. So this has to have been way before then. Is it possible that he was, like, like, I kind of assumed his curse was, one from birth. I don't remember if we saw the flashback, but I guess there may have been a point where he wasn't cursed. Okay, so I guess he's forcing the union. Oh no, okay, so this is the chapter title. Monozone, Dark Prison Hunting Grounds. I assume this is our traditional shonen, like, we didn't do this from the start because it's too deadly, but now we have no choice. Not sure if I like the screen tone being used for these arms here. Like, I mean, I get the struggle of how do you, like, show that these are presumably, like, shadowy tentacles when the entire background is pure pitch black. But it's too regular. Like, if I didn't know what screen tone was, I would look at this and assume, like, are they made out of, like, crystals or something? Which, to be fair, maybe they are. Let's see if we get a better shot of them. Yeah, they're about to die. Like, they both want the same thing. What is the thing keeping them from uniting? I mean, is it just that they haven't been that serious about it? Okay, here we are. So it isn't just the, like, I can't die, or we need to be together. It is specifically, I can't die, and also, I can't let this guy die either. Which makes sense. Like, the way Noct does it is it is a selfish union. It is him saying, you get nothing out of this deal, I get everything. So all he has to do is think, like, I don't want to die, or, I need this power that I can take out of you without giving anything in return. Whereas their whole thing is a 50-50 partnership. So it has to be, like, completely mutual both ways. Like, not just we both don't want to die. It has to all... That makes so much sense, actually. What is this look going to be? Because also, like, anti-magic's always been classically dark with, like, a red sort of aura to it. But right now, it looks like there's a light in the darkness. But how does that work? Like, are they emitting some sort of light? Like, does their anti-magic change when they're fused together? Or alternatively, actually, because this, the Dark Prison Hunting Ground is all made of mana, is it that they are consuming it all at such a speed that, like, the ambient light from the room is flooding in? Either way, really, fingers crossed, really hoping for something cooler than the arm. Like, if their entire body looks like the arm, I'm gonna be very sad. It's not a good look. Like, it's not cool. But fingers crossed. Ah, that is Black Clover. That is, all right. I've only done one thing. I spent so long on the cover that I forgot to read more manga. But all right, let's just zip zop zoop along to We Never Learn, chapter 183. So, doing a flashback, this is teenage Kirisu. Uh, where are we going with this? Like, we ended last chapter with her understanding that she can't let anyone else in. That, there is this hard boundary to her. So, are we going to see what created that boundary? Because we did see a quick flash of her classmates before. So maybe they're going to try and reach out and she's going to force them aside. Hmm. Ah, today's school festival. If I run, I might make it in time for the closing ceremony. Oh no. This feels like it's going to be the classic. She runs in just as they're all shit talking her. Oh. Okay, so no. They seem down. Huh? Wait. Oh, okay, I get it. I didn't understand what this background was. But and I mean, I guess that is supposed to like it is supposed to have that ambiguity there of you think she did it, you think that they're calling out to her or that they notice her, but she can't do it. She can't break through. I honestly really relate to this. I I didn't do this as much in high school. With high school, I was pretty open with my friends. But in university, I had two separate chances to party with my friends. Like, once was the graduation, like, post graduation ceremony. One of them was, like, right afterwards. On my birthday, we decided to just do a final get together. And in both of those, I kind of flaked. In one of them, I drank too much. It was I just wasn't really capable of enjoying the experience very much. Like that was on me. That was a bad time. And then the secondary one was I got too freaked out. Like, because of that first time and because I was scared of, ruining the party, and partially because I was so like I hadn't been out that late, like, in the early, hours of the morning with these people ever before. Like, I just freaked out and left. And I hate that. Like, I can definitely feel I that energy of there is a endless boundary here, and it isn't that anyone's pushing me away. It is that I am creating this boundary. And even though it should be as simple as me just ignoring it or me just doing it anyways, it still feels like I can't do anything about it. It can't be helped. I'm a figure skater. That's the reason. But the truth is, figure skating is just an excuse. This longing, I want it so badly, but at the same time, I'm afraid. I'm scared to let people in. Everyone's my rival. Is there anywhere I belong? Am I capable of truly loving others? Yeah, I mean, I get that too. I remember, like, very young, like, I think in, like, second grade or so, at some point, like, my parents are not the, like, super hardcore, you gotta destroy everyone else to survive kinds of people. But I personally, I think I swung too far in the opposite direction where I was like, oh, I don't want my grades to be the best because I don't want to beat all my friends. And my parents, like, decided to really go in the opposite direction with that. And I internalized the, like, everyone's my rival thing for a bit. So yeah, I get that too. Ah. And I do think this is, like, yeah, like, it's not that she is saying outright, there's someone else I love, or I 100% don't, like, how do I put this? She is saying romance is out of the question, but, like, I think it is important that Yuiga came to this stating that what he wanted was just to say that he loves her, and that he does love her. Like, it isn't a direct, like, I need you to be in a relationship with me. He entered this part of the arc with a selfless commitment. He just wanted to express that he does love Sensei, and he has loved her all this time. Like, there is a level of discomfort with the idea of, like, he is still going to be pressuring her in some way. But I think it's better than a lot of other series. I'm more okay with it. These panty lines. Taishi's butt boys really being, like, Taishi's really getting the most use out of him now. Every single chapter. I love this. But yeah, I think it also works because we narratively know as the audience that this is the Kirisu arc. Like, we know that she has feelings for Yuiga. She is saying specifically romance is out of the question, but we know the love is there. We do know it is mutual. And I think that does genuinely change things. It is something that's, like, I dislike it when a writer does that with tsundere characters, because then you get to a point where it's like, oh well, it's okay for her to beat the main character because she loves him secretly, and I think that doesn't work. But if it is something more self-torturing, I think it's better because it also means that a romance would be a relief from that self-torture as opposed to a potential um, like with a tsundere, I'm always scared that they're going to get into a relationship and then, the tsundere is going to beat the other person in their relationship. And in a lot of series, that is what happens. And it's just like, oh, it's funny though, which I hate. Ah, it's a non-stop battle. I also really like that this is like when we saw the festival from the perspective of Yuiga, like, when everyone was in high school and Sensei was, just their teacher, we saw it from the kid's perspective much more. Like it was so kid focused, and because of that, like Sensei got swept up into the festival itself. But I really like that this isn't happening this time, that they are maintaining this separation, because now we are seeing the festival from a teacher's point of view, where they do help, but they're not really being impacted by it. Their emotions aren't really changing as a result. I mean, I do think they will be impacted by the very end for sure. Like I assume the big, firework confession thing is going to happen again, and then they'll, Yuigo will fully 100% say, "I love you. I'm not, I have to let you know that." And I think that's when Sensei is finally going to melt. It's just something I want to take care of during the school festival. I wonder if he's actually setting up something, like he's told the students how he feels, and he wants them to set up a distraction, or he wants to make sure nothing goes awry, so the two of them have a moment together. Hmm. Helper Club. Okay, so never mind. They are being swept into it. Hmm. I'm so this is a cool idea. I was definitely off the mark though. I'll say that. My prediction was definitely very off. This is also just this is such a wild way to I just realized actually what he's doing. This isn't a distraction or anything. This is Yuiga specifically giving Kirisu the experience of being a part of the festival. They kind of already did that when he was in school, but not really. She was still in more of a a supervisory role with a bit of crossover with the whole mascot thing. But this does seem like it is a straight up I want to give you a taste of everything here. Aww. Oh, and because he took everything first, he is now forcing her to accept this gratitude from these kids. Like, I think that's also it. That she, because of her state of being, she's not the kind of person who would jump in and help out. She'll do it if someone forces her to do it. And that has been a thing with the series. Like, she will do something if she is prodded into doing it. She is very changeable. But if her friends had called her out, that's also why her fantasy was I guess her fantasy does start with her saying, "Hey everyone," and then they turn around. Never mind. I thought it was supposed to be a they call out first. But no. Ah, I really want you to experience this fully. The quintessential school experience you longed for as a teen. That is yeah, it's so perfect. And I am glad actually that this isn't a secret. Oh, think about it. Haven't you been experiencing school as a teenager all along? He is directly saying it. And it is also even though we know he's definitely doing this because he loves her, he's not saying specifically, "I want you to experience this fully because I love you." It is this wholehearted, you are hurt, you are you can't, you are still very affected by the fact that you have not been able to do all these things. So at the very least, because I love you, I want you to experience those things. I want you to feel better. I want you to have these, big pivotal moments that you never got to have. There was something very romantic about that. I mean, it is that classic, going above and beyond to give the person you love something that they've always wanted. How can you not be on board with that? So, that is We Never Learn. Yeah, it gets to go above Black Clover. Why not? All right, let's hit up Me and Roboco, Chapter 19. Hey, check it out. Bondo brought Jump to school. Look at this guy refusing to be bound by society's petty rules. Yeah, go your own way, man. That is not either of their voices. Okay. All you read is Ayakashi Triangle. I would not read Ayakashi Triangle in school. Actually, wait a minute, you can't, right? Ayakashi Triangle is a digital-only series, right? Like, I'm fairly sure Ahikashi Triangle is digital only. I wonder, actually, is this an alternate universe? Is this an alternate, like, the question with a series in Jump that involves actually reading Jump is always like, is your series in Jump itself? Like with Saiki Kusuo, like they did have, like it was ambiguous sometimes, but the general thrust was yes, Saiki Kusuo no Sainon is a manga in Shonen Jump in the world of Saiki Kusuo no Sainon. Like you can get all the volumes if you want to. So I wonder, maybe for Me and Roboco itself is not a manga in Jump, and instead it has been replaced by Ayakashi Triangle. Shirogane so cute, ook. Okay. Chapter 19, Akane and Gorilla. Like I guess I didn't really have any idea what was going to happen there. I think because it was Bondo's classmate, I thought it was going to be maybe a Bondo and Akane thing. But okay. Interesting ship. Ah, this is such a like I don't remember anything like any cartoons or anything from when I was a kid bringing this up, but I am glad that more series have brought up the embarrassment of accidentally calling out mom in class. Oh, he's so chill about it. Oh, so is this going to be? I mean, to be fair, Gachi is a very kind-hearted person. So the question really is like, is this going to be a like, oh, she's completely misreading him and he did all these things by accident? Or is it going to be a no, he genuinely is that nice and he's been doing stuff specifically to help her, not just her, but everyone out? Hmm. Ah, okay. Ever since then, he's been on my mind. My eyes naturally following him, and I've come to realize he's not the jerk everyone thinks he is. Which makes sense, because yeah, like that is fundamentally one of the biggest gags of the series. That Gachi seems like a bully, but he genuinely isn't. And even Bondo, like Bondo does think of him, and I forgot his name, but like he thinks of those two as his friends, but at the same time, whenever they show up and start bullying him, quote unquote, he does automatically think it's bullying. So it would make sense that, if you don't spend a lot of time around them, you just would never realize that they're not mean. Ah, okay. So this one isn't even a like it seemed like he was being a jerk, but actually he was being a good guy. Like, I mean, it is, but it is a like it isn't a mistaken thing. Like it's not that he was doing something and he didn't want it to seem like he was being mean, which makes sense. Like a lot of what he does is also like very clearly in universe they are doing a gag of I'm going to do something or I'm going to come on as very very aggressive because I want to freak out Bondo. So it would make sense that that is just a thing he does. Like he is fine with being seen as the bad guy. By the time I realized that I already had a huge crush, and lately all I can think about is how much he looks like Brad Pitt. They're so smushed together. Oh, no way. Makima's gonna. Oh, no. Yeah, that is the state of Chainsaw Man right now. To be fair, like, these are written, like a few weeks in advance. So presumably this is talking about, like, Chainsaw Man a few chapters ago. Which, I mean, to be fair, you could say Makima's gonna oh no about kind of any chapter around now. Actually, it fits really well with last chapter, and presumably with this chapter, if we continue on from what was happening last week. This panel's so strong. The ship is real. There's something weird about that reaction, you two. Me and Roboco does strike me as a series, like one of the only series in Jump that I feel could. I mean, like obviously this is a joke, but like it isn't a. I guess it's also that like they didn't go, oh, it's gross. They are just like flustered. Like that is the weird part, that they aren't doing the big bro like, oh, we're not gay. Gotcha Gorilla doing the like monkey thumping never gets old. Anytime he does a monkey thing, it legitimately never gets old because that's never his gag. Like it is always something he's also doing. What is this gag? What is this gag? Trying to ensnare Gotchi with her feminine wiles. I mean, it is a panty shot. Huzzah, me and Roboco Volume 1 sells 1 million copies. I wish. Use Roboco to seduce Gorilla Gachi. Get more chances to hang out with Gorilla Gachi. Become friends with Gorilla Gachi. Ah, actually, Like, I do hope this isn't a misunderstanding that is resolved by the end of the chapter, because I do think it would be really fun if we have some chapters that are like Bondo being seen as the evil one, like as a reversal of Gotchi and I can never remember his name, but like the two quote unquote bullies, intentionally trying to act very aggressive, and then the joke is, haha, they're not. It would be really cool if we had a few chapters of Bondo is doing nothing aggressive, but then Akane interprets it as being extremely aggressive because it's a good gag so far. Ah, what, he was right. This ship is way too strong. I gotta get home to look after my brother and sister. See, it's always for someone else. Hmm. Ah. Also, because she's so flustered, like the ideal is she does the big like the tsundere thing, but in reality, what if she just doesn't and he just looks at her panties and is like, well, actually, to be fair, he wouldn't. He's not that kind of guy. I mean, yeah, fair enough. She did explicitly say not to touch her. And like, he's not dumb. He would have noticed immediately, like, oh, you're wearing a skirt. It would be weird if you were on top. How did this happen? What physics occurred in order for this to occur? Look at me, don't just ignore my panty flash. Why is all the romantic comedy hijack stuff happening over there? Bondo as the hapless love interest is something that I 100% did not think I would have possibly wanted. I mean, if it was Bondo and any other character, I wouldn't want it. But somehow this is so good. Someone help us, please! My friends! And I mean, I do appreciate that the thing that was standing in the way of a lot of her progress was her trying to do, like, in her mind, she thinks the optimal answer would be being tsundere. And in the end, when she does finally get the piggyback, she isn't tsundere about it. Like, she is just herself. Like, she is too flustered, and she didn't think it was really going to happen, so all she can do is appreciate it. It is surprisingly wholesome. Me and Roboco, so good. Bondo X Gorilla is also not a thing I thought I would ever truly want, but man, I mean, to be fair, I still don't want it. I don't think that would work really well as a ship, but as a crack ship, I think it's really strong. Like, Bondo is, to be fair, I guess we don't know. I guess we don't know. We know at the very least Bondo likes girls. We don't know any of their sexualities, so I can't fully write it out. Usually I would because this is Jump, but at the same time, I mean, if any series could do it, it would be a gag series. I mean, I say that, to be fair, I haven't caught up on Ayakashi Triangle in a while. Did Ayakashi Triangle finally surmount the gap of, oh no, we're both girls? Anyways, good me and Roboco. Very solid. I think I talked too much about it, honestly. But it was a really good chapter. Like, it was just so good. I'm putting it above We Never Learn. Because me and Roboco was both funny, and also the rom-com hijinks were genuinely much better and much fresher. Like, I like We Never Learn's comedic hijinks because they are so reminiscent of other sitcoms like Three's Company. Like, I say that almost constantly, or like once a volume. Whereas me and Roboco, like, these were all funny goofs, but I think what really worked is that they were more explicit. Or, like, I don't know. I don't know what I would say about it. Like, these are all what I would consider to be rom-com goofs, but I can't imagine any of these happening in We Never Learn. They are on a, like, not even a different level, but just a different, like, planets. Not necessarily better or worse, but there is just a level of freshness to these jokes and to like how they work in a rom-com-y sense. I think that is like, it is the same thing me and Roboco does for gag series in general, where it's not that me and Roboco has the freshest gags in the world, but it does a lot of comedic stuff that I just don't see other gag manga do. Where I will just read a gag manga and I'll go through it and go like, yep, these are the jokes. Like, these are the same jokes I've seen in 5 other gag manga. Whereas with me and Roboco, like, even when they do, like, do the occasional, like, hey, here's a classic, there's also, like, it's so fresh feeling. Anyways, me and Roboco good. I guess that's really all I have to distill down to. It deserves to be the top of the pre-recordeds for now. Catch you for the live stream. Incidentally, why is it that Jump does this? Like, They do kind of replicate the shape of the like Japanese jump every week. Like whatever's on the cover is usually the first thing here, and then it usually goes in order of the table of contents in Japan. But no one does this. Like no one is reading like a digital manga like this where they just go, okay, I'm gonna read this one, then 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 this one. Like if they wanted us to do that, they should have had it be a linear list as opposed to, boxes. And I understand why you would want to do it like this. Like this is much more inviting. I do think it like look seeing the individual pictures does make me go, oh yeah, I haven't read A Gravity Boys in a while. I'm gonna go read some A Gravity Boys. But yeah, it feels like a weird disconnect. With a physical volume of the physical magazine, there is this inherent like linearity to it. Like I think I would be more likely to like just read the whole thing from beginning to end if it was a physical book. In the same way that like when I did the slimmed down original format for English Weekly Shonen Jump, sometimes I would just go like, oh, I don't read We Never Learn, but I want to read the whole issue this week, so I'm just gonna read We Never Learn. There's no chat on screen. Oops. Okay, good thing that I had this pre-recordy thingy going on. Okay, double check. I am recording. I do have the virtual camera up. I think that's all I gotta do. If there's anything else wrong, do let me know, homie. And I don't. Is anyone else here right now? Oh, hey, Cripple Lampa is here. Oh no. Well, if the face cam is off sync from the sound, there's nothing I can really do about that one, sadly. It shouldn't, like, on my screen, yeah, my lips are synced up perfectly, so it'll be fine in the YouTube version, but there's nothing I can specifically do to, like, change the bit rates, which does suck, to be fair. But Discord's been pretty good up until now, so, Alright, homie, just try, like, maybe stepping out and coming back in, maybe? That might help. Yeah, but anyways. Um, okay. So, as homie's coming back in, I think it's time to just jump into the new series, Sakamoto Days. It's always weird doing this because, like, you guys watching it live are seeing this for the first time, or like you're seeing me talk about the series for the first time. But because it was the cover of Jump, I did talk about what I thought it was going to be there. So, quick recap. I My final guess is it's going to be like the first chapter of Spy Family, where you do get the big goofs of like Anya's situation, Lloyd's situation. Like it is funny, but at the same time we do have like a serious fighty climax, and that's kind of what I expected from like this cover, because this cover is the juxtaposition of the scanner gun. You got the real gun. You got this design that is equally like he could be kindly old man, he could also be a badass. Ooh, let's see if it lives up to your hype. I mean, we are starting off with the traditional shonen humor of poop. Okay. Days one, the legendary hitman. So, immediate statement of, I assume he is the legendary hitman, probably retired. We've got we've got two normal people here. I assume those are like innocent people he wants to protect. And then over here, some sort of like assassination organization. Like they're all turning, like they're all walking away from him, but turning back, which would imply to me that like either he's left them behind or they're leaving him behind. Like it could be either a like he's chosen to no longer do the hitman thing, like he's given up on being a hitman and they're still like looking at him in reverence, or it could be the opposite of like he broke his leg, he still wants to be a hitman, but they're telling him no, you got to go work at a convenience store, you don't, you can't go back into the fields. But yeah, the composition of this is pretty nice, and I do like the way the coloring is done. It is this it reminds me a little of like Chainsaw Man's coloring, or uh like the marker coloring that Yuki Tabata does with Black Clover sometimes. Like there's nice texture to everything, as opposed to it like having that very like clearly digital, very flat vibe. Once there was a hitman who was considered the greatest of all time. His name was Taro Sakamoto. Okay, so we're setting up he was really badass here. He got real chunky later, but for what purpose? Why did it happen? But one day he fell in love. Okay, and that's, I assume, this girl then. So he falls in love. That's his wife then, which would then also explain like why she's wearing she's wearing a green dress. Their daughter, I guess, is wearing a yellow outfit, and so his uniform is the combination of those two colors. It is like visually showing that he is, he's retired. The cracked glasses are really good. He retired, got married, had a baby, and uh, so far, like the art style's not really doing anything big for me, but it's decent so far. And Sakamoto got out of shape. I do like the shirts revealing what he is. I guess not what he's thinking, but just sort of like his. What would that be actually? Because this one is a retired shirt, which makes sense. He's retiring. But then this is a slim shirt when he's not slim. I mean, I think it might just be his state of mind then. Like, he still thinks he's slim. Or, he just doesn't care. So this is our edgy young upstart from the color spread. Oh, okay. Oh, is he gonna do a John Wick? Oh, Jesus Christ. I for some reason my brain did go to he's gonna stab him in the eye. But that I guess that is less freaky than stabbing him in the eye. It's Shin the Clairvoyant. So are we going to in chapter 1 introduce psychic powers, or is it just a he's so good at predicting things that it's as if he was a clairvoyant? Can he read minds? Okay. So I mean, I guess that is still ambiguous as to, is it a literal he can read minds, or is it just I used to work for you, I know you're about to try and kill me? Yeah, it definitely, I see why, homie, why you said it was sort of house husbandy. It does have that energy of being very casual, but also being ready to kill. The difference is that, what really hits for me about House Husband is the hard, visual juxtaposition. Sort of in the same way that One Punch Man has the, very sketchy looking images, and then the very, in the webcomic, very actiony, very, very good use of line work strikes. And then with the Murata version, it is just very low detail, very absurdly high detail. But that's not really the image I'm getting from these gags thus far. Okay. Also, why would you automatically assume that this man's propositioning Sakamoto for an assassination? He's clearly said he's out of the game. But okay, so it is a montage of him just doing nice shit around the neighborhood. Also, it took me a second to understand this. What is this solution? What is he doing here? He is tearing the ball in half, right? Is that an answer? With everything else, it is this sort of just classic, he's just really good at everything. But I don't know what he's doing here. Yeah, I'd say Shin definitely is a Murata-esque design. Okay. So he does, that actually does, put a different spin on it. I was getting sort of annoyed that we had this, he's just concealing his identity. It seemed like we were just doing the same gag over and over again of, well, you can't really be out of the game, but I don't respect you, but maybe you're still in the game. But I do like the twist of just, he does still like Sakamoto. And that does mean that if, I assume at some point, whether it is in this chapter or whether it is, in another chapter later on, they're going to try and pull Sakamoto back into the assassination game. And I wouldn't want the series to be him balancing assassinations with being a nice guy. I would want it to be a full-on, he refuses to do anything in the assassination gigs, and, his allies have to, help him stay out of it. Okay, and he was also sent to take him out. And that actually does create an immediate, Monster of the Week setup of, there is, this chapter could end with the organization just saying, nah, we're not going to touch him. But if the mangaka wants to, you could get a fair bit of mileage out of the organization just sending people to consistently try to kill him. Okay, so if he truly respects Sakamoto as a killer, then he has to have a really good plan. It can't just be I'm gonna walk into the convenience store and shoot him in the head, right? This seems very straightforward. What part of it confuses you? Whack is just sort of a general, mob term for kill. I assumed that's why they're using it. I would lean more towards translation than gag for that, because it's not really being said in a comedic sense. Okay, how's this going down? Jesus Christ. Okay, that is pretty cool. Oh, okay, I really do like this panel, actually. I'm very glad that it is a unbroken wireframe in front of him. The action's pretty decent as well. It's not the best, but I do find it very easy to follow. Jesus Christ. Also, to be fair, they did establish that Sakamoto, started the shop. Like, it's not like he's working at someone else's shop. It is all his stuff. So it's not like he's going to get in trouble for this. Oh snap, that was it. I mean, fair enough. I'm so used to manga in which you can kick someone through, like, through an entire store and into the wall on the other side, and they're still fine.
I gotta say,
Yeah.
those two panels of action were probably the best action like paneling I've seen since Mob Psycho.
Really? I could definitely see that.
Like in terms of art direction, not these two, but I mean
Uh-huh.
this page, this one, that was terrible. This
Uh-huh.
page, the other one, not that
Okay.
page.
But all right.
That page. I was hoping you were gonna turn to it, but no matter how many times I said it,
Mhm.
you refused to turn to it.
I didn't know what you were talking about. You said panels.
I said not this page, the other page, 3 times. You didn't turn to the other page.
But yeah, I guess we don't know whether it's his wife's store or not. Like we saw him see her at a store, but if we didn't, I don't think we saw the outside of it in the in the ramp up. Hmm. Also, big question: how much does she know about it? Because she was like walking away from the mob during the quick cuts of how he got here. So presumably she does know. What is this feeling? In all my years as a hitman, I'd never experienced this before. Okay. Hmm. So, I mean, I do appreciate, by the way, that this has been like a full half of the chapter, and it is just setting up our main duo. But what is the final third then? Like, do they just send a bunch of assassins after him now? Hmm. Ah, no honor, no dignity. Okay, so we are saying he can read minds. Like, I mean, I guess to be fair, it's still not necessarily a psychic thing, but it has to be as good as psychic. Like, you wouldn't just say, "Oh, my boss is really tense, so I'm going to point a gun at him." Like, you would have to have the absolute proof of hearing exactly his thoughts. Also, to be fair, if you have an assassin who can read minds, I feel like that should be like you should have a sticky note that you look at every time you're about to talk to him that says, "Hey, by the way, he can read minds." You gotta remember that. Okay, he's listening in. Cool. Is he still in the game? Or is this all just stuff he has just in case? Or, stuff he just kind of kept around after he retired? Because this doesn't look like the convenience store of someone who is out of the game. Like, this ain't, a box full of guns buried underground. But it's like he can predict our moves. Do they know that he's psychic or not? Okay, I guess they didn't. I guess it was just the boss who knew. Yeah, that does make sense. As home security, but just kind of to the nth degree. Which would make sense if you are an assassin, you know that, the world is way more dangerous than anyone else thinks it is. This shot is really good. Like, I do love how imposing he can feel. Or, I think it's specifically this, like, the big panel combined with the small panel. Like, the hard looking straight up, where he looks very imposing, and then immediately transitioning to looking straight down, where he looks very tiny and small and, like a chubby old man. It is a technique that I first grew to truly admire in, of course, Paul Blart Mall Cop, where throughout the movie, like, the camera is consistently below his crotch area, like, for almost every scene. Like, it's meant to emphasize how fat he is. And then over the course of the second act, and then leading into the third act, the camera slowly, like, just starts being higher and higher and higher. And also, of course, he takes off the big old white mall cop thing, so he's got, like, the black shirt, and he ends up looking really, like, not slim, but, like, it makes him feel smaller and sleeker, even if he physically hasn't changed. It is also, like, legitimately a really good design for that Fist of the North Star, like, your strength is determined by how much panel you take up. Like, it's pretty difficult to do that with a slim character, which is why a lot of series that try to do that, but with slim characters, just give them really big outfits, so the outfits can take up more space. But if a person themselves is very big, they can just do it by themselves. Oh, it's so satisfying. Like, that is such a unbelievably satisfying gun disarmament. It's the kind of thing where, like, I would like to see it in live action, but at the same time, you can't. There's no way. There's no way to have the hands take apart the gun without it looking goofy as heck or making it look, too fast, so you don't get the emphasis. It really only works in a format where you have, like, defined panels. Whoever's mangaka is, they know how to use sequential arts. Yeah, like so many of these impacts are way more satisfying than I thought they'd be. Also, definitely does seem like, he is out of the game, but he's not a pure pacifist. Like, I was wondering if that was what we were going for in the convenience store of, even though he's being attacked, even though his life is at risk, he still won't kill his former partner. I thought it was going to be a potential, like, he won't kill anyone now. But no, it does seem like it was I know him, I'm not going to kill him because I know I can get him to see my point of view. Whereas these guys are going to try and kill me, so I'm just going to kill him. Good panel. Like, he looks so enormous. He simultaneously, like, because of the walkway in the background, like, the perspective is still fine, but it also has this energy of him looking like a titan. Like, he looks like he is the size of this entire building. I don't know why, but I have realized that I really just like perspective shots in general. And it's so difficult to do that in manga because it is inherently a 2D medium. Also, how does this work? Like, obviously, he is thinking this panel and then saying this one out loud because he knows that the tower can read minds. But, I mean, that's something I'll never be able to understand. Like, when someone can think one thing and then say something else without thinking it. Also, like, to be fair, it also does help that he's talked so very little at all in this chapter. So I guess it does make sense that, like, he has calmed down. He has slowed down. And to be fair, like, if they were partners, I think there might also be this extra level of he can't think that, or not. How do I put this? Like, he seems like a silent badass, but that's because he just thinks some things without saying them. And so, of course, the perfect partner for him would be someone who can read his mind and understands what he's thinking, so he doesn't have to say everything. God, I will never stop loving this kid. Like, specifically because he's got those Sayonara Zetsuo Sensei background character eyes, like the very almondy eyes in comparison to every other character.
He's paying less than $8 an hour.
I mean, it's a small family business. I get it.
Less than minimum wage.
Not Japan, I believe.
Oh, it's fucked up.
Oh, I didn't even think about it. He is also the perfect corner store employee. Because if there's one thing I do hate at corner stores, it is, like, knowing that the place is small enough that I should be able to find whatever I want, but not being able to find it. Like, it is that horrible middle ground of, I don't want to talk to an employee because I feel like I'm just about to find it. But if they were to spontaneously tell me where what I'm looking for is, I'd be very happy. Okay, the average is 900 yen, or 902, so he is still underpaying him. But not by much. Okay, so that is our setup. Cool. Like, I guess I would still, like, from this chapter alone, it does strike me as less of a gag comedy and more of a gag action. Not that that's bad. Like, I do think for a gag action series, like, if it is going to be 50-50, or even, like, slightly more action than it is gags, like, you gotta be able to do action. And this mangaka can definitely do action properly. Like, this is not a... it's not a mashal where there are, like, lots of fights, but I don't, like, the action isn't very good in mashal. This is really good. And actually, yeah, you know what? I would say almost everything that mashal does, Sakamoto Days does better. Not that they do the exact same things. Like, there are, big parts of mashal that are definitely not in this chapter. But in terms of having that same, I guess, like, almost one-esque rip-off comedy, Sakamoto Days is definitely a lot better. But yeah, like, it is sort of a halfway between House Husband and something like Mob Psycho or I guess One Punch Man. Vaguely, not really. It is much more House Husband. House Husband, but with, like, actual fight scenes. Yeah, I think the way the art works, the fact that, like, the art is not the attraction. Like, none of the panels look that pretty, but they do have a very good sense of movement and of structure. That, to me, feels very one-ish. Like, there is the supreme confidence that, like, you will enjoy this. That this art is good, or, like, the sequential nature of this art is very well done, and that makes up for any aesthetic, flaws that it may have. And to be fair, yeah, like, there are lots of backgrounds, and the setting, while being very drab and very normie, is very well depicted. Like, it isn't like Mashal and how Mashal will sometimes just be very lazy, where, like, they'll be fighting in a cave, and instead of drawing the cave walls a lot, the mangaka will still just do like, a pure black background or pure white background. Not really to like sometimes he does it to make the character stand out for like, a comedic reaction face or something, but sometimes it's just because they didn't want to do a background. Whereas this chapter does really show like there is a good mix in this chapter of the occasional like, big old whites and then like a very detailed background. Like all of these shots are pure white, but they do make narrative sense as a like he is standing apart from everyone else. He has this very clear purpose he is trying to get across, and we as the audience are supposed to be looking at him and nothing else. Whereas everyone else is, in a physical location. It is supposed to feel very big and impressive. And then it also does like tie into that final shot of Sakamoto where he looks like he is as big as the entire building. And yeah, like House Husband is very much the series is about this one character. Whereas Sakamoto, like, I can already see the bones for a chapter that does not feature Sakamoto at all, based entirely around, our secondary character and the world around them. Which, I mean, for a series running in Jump, I want something that is very, like, flexible right from the outset. Something where I can understand how you could, like even if you're not really feeling a chapter, you could have some chapters in the background. You can, like there's so much to work with. So yeah, so far feeling really good about Sakamoto Days. Um, Here's the current ranking. Right now it is me and Roboco. We Never Learn, Black Clover. And in comparison to all of those, like me and Roboco was, I think, a smidgen funnier, but Sakamoto Days had more entertaining stuff in it. So, yeah, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. I'll put it above me and Roboco this week. But I would say they're, like, about on the same level. And to be fair, I mean, that's pretty strong for both series. That me and Roboco, after this much ramp up, is as good as, the debut chapters of this gag series, where the debut chapter is the thing that the mangaka works on the hardest. And simultaneously, that Sakamoto Days can live up to my favorite comedy current running in Jump. So yeah, not a dig on either of them.
If you have a mom and pop shop and you underpay your employees, you're getting the guillotine too.
I don't think you can guillotine Mr. Sakamoto.
I'm
He's ready.
guillotining Sakamoto.
He's ready.
I don't care, it's happening.
He will fight the whole government in order to underpay his employee. Also, homie, you know what? You're right. He must have destroyed a lot of merchandise by being smashed through the entire store. So it could be that the 850 is a lower wage until they make up that cost.
Speaking of merch, somebody on the server, if Mehdi is still on the server, please let him know that I do use his merch to sit my naked ass on.
Okay.
Somebody let him know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess I'll plug Mehdi, not the bad guy, buy these shirts. Does he still sell this print?
I don't know. I think it might be an exclusive and I use it for my butt.
It's a really good print. I want to steal it at some point. You're always wearing it or you're always sitting on it.
I'm definitely not always wearing it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, presumably Shin already had a place. Though it might be safer if they live with Sakamoto, actually. Like, considering that, like, if any of the organization is left, they're probably going to try and kill both of them. But then again, like, I don't know if Sakamoto has enough space for another person, like, permanently. So I'm guessing he probably has an apartment somewhere. Anyways, that is Sakamoto Days. Good series. That's enough stalling. Let's move on to... Oh no, it's Sakamoto Days again. Okay, I guess we're reading it again. Okay, I think everything else is okay. No, we can't read it again. We gotta move on. To Our Blood Oath, Chapter 11, versus Haiga. Who's Haiga? Oh, I guess this is Haiga.
I can't believe you're 11 chapters into this. I have not heard you talk about this series at all, ever. I hear you talk about Mashal way more than I hear you talk about this series.
The difference is that Mashal has a lot of concepts that get a big rise out of me, whereas Our Blood Oath has some good stuff in it, but it's pretty average. It's a pretty, like, I enjoy reading it. To be fair, if I wanted to really milk the channel and get those big outrage views, I'd probably read Mashal. Just to, get the once a week, I'm so mad at this series reaction. But that's not my vibe. That's not my channel.
My channel.
You should read Mashal. Anyways, we got Haiga, sexy cat man with all the kitties. I'm glad that last chapter we got the big name drop of Blood Oath Brothers. I've heard that you have Our Blood Oath. Please fight me, our Blood Oath brothers. I want to see the strength of our Blood Oath. They're so out in the open. I didn't want to cause this much of a scene, really, because he's been so blatant. My king, is there a place that would be suitable for fighting nearby? No subtlety. Like, I guess this must be what he's like. I thought he was I thought he was doing this knowingly, like knowing that, he should be hiding, but he's breaking all the rules to try and get them out. But I guess that's not the case. I guess he's just this, like, socially unaware. Okay. Ah, this poor truck driver. He was driving his truck. His truck was annihilated with a punch, and then he was dragged all the way here. Why did no one call the police? Because this guy he's been saying, "Help, save me." So I assume he was saying that as he was being kidnapped and taken to the secluded location. Oh yeah, by the way, I did forget to do that. Sorry. Our Blood Oath, Chapter 11. I didn't do it with Sakamoto Days, and that threw me off. Anti-vampiric beast weapons. So, do the gloves not work on vampires? I mean, we've seen... I guess we haven't, really. I guess it must be if they have, vampire power levels, any vampiric beast is lower than a typical normal vampire. Also, this isn't really showing him the strength of their blood oath. I assumed that he was going to do, we still have time in the chapter, but I am expecting him to do a big ol' exposition did you know that if you cross your fingers and say our blood oath, you'll unlock level 2 of the blood oath? And then they'll go, what? We didn't know about that. Let's do it. And then Shin will grow wings or something. I mean, this is a convincing argument. This man was going to run over their cats, but at the same time... I cannot, as a person, I can't seriously say that running over a cat in a giant, truck that is going to cause way more damage if you try and swerve is as evil as killing a guy who can't fight back. It's not good to kill cats. And to be fair, I guess we didn't get a panel of this guy going, I'm gonna kill this cat, I love it. Oh no, see ya, homie. Okay, no, so we did get the panel of him outright saying, who cares about that tiny cat anyways? It's making it really difficult for me to say this guy should live. And yeah, sorry about that, homie. Oof. This is a bad chapter for this exact situation. Oof. Man, this worked out really badly. Okay, so does he have ranged abilities? How does this work? What is this? I mean, his direct statement is, blood in my veins mingle with soil and erupt. So is this, controlling blood that just, happens to be in soil? Or is it I am expending the magic within my blood in order to bend the soil? I mean, I guess it's gotta be, a bit of both. Because you can't have this much blood inside of him, right? It can't be equal parts blood and soil, because that's so much blood. Boy, there's so much cat in peril in this chapter. I guess that makes sense. If it is, one drop of blood controls, a big old chunk of soil, then pumping in, a significant little bit would be enough to make the big old spikes. Also, his gloves are reacting to the blood. I mean, if the gloves are made out of vampiric beasts, so maybe it is if he sacrifices more of his blood, as a human being, then the gloves get stronger. Is this the best the Blood Oath of Darkness can do? Now, how does the system work? Is this a poem that he knew of before? Is he just making this one up on the fly? Also, actually, he is punching through a vampire and blood is coming out of that vampire. If these new gloves, if you use these new gloves to punch a vampire and they got covered in that vampire's blood, does that cause a loop of the gloves getting stronger? Or do the gloves specifically only feed on human blood? I would guess, from a narrative perspective, they probably only feed on human blood, and then, at some point in the series, we'll get the final upgrade, which is gloves that feed on vampire blood. Ah, I see. I was trying not to go too hard in case the Blood Oath power was too much for my gloves, but I guess it worked out. This chapter has been I want to see the strength of your Blood Oath, and I still don't understand the strength of their Blood Oath. I don't think he did, right? Yeah, I'm pretty sure he didn't. Actually, I guess those are white streaks. Yeah, that part's still there. It does look bigger, though. No, I think it's about the same. Yeah, I think it's just, like, inconsistently drawn. Whether it's some scum of man or an innocent, blameless child, no one deserves to be killed without reason. That's why we fight. That's why we'll stop you. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, it is thankless. But at the same time, like, if you are going to protect humans from vampires and vice versa, you gotta accept that there are gonna be some vampires that don't like what you're doing. There's gonna be some humans that don't like what you're doing. There are gonna be some humans that don't like that you exist. It is that, it's the heroic sacrifice of understanding that, like, you will be a pariah for doing this, but at the same time, you doing this is better than, a world in which you are not protecting people. So, okay, chapter. It really, the thing I have a problem with in the whole chapter is really just that I can't gauge how strong the Blood Oath of Darkness is. Like, I'd be fine even if they said something like, we can't, go all out because we'll kill him. Or if it's the opposite of, like, I thought I was going all out, but now the blood is increasing the strength of my gloves by an unknown level. Or something like that. Like, I just can't gauge how strong they are. Which is fine. This is really the first time that we're getting a challenge to the brothers. Up until this point, they have been pretty overpowered in reference to the vampiric beasts they've been fighting and the vampires that they've been fighting. But I feel like if this is supposed to be a struggle, we should have a better idea of how much of a struggle it is. Anyways, pretty decent chapter. I once again do have to question how much leeway can a series have by virtue of just having Cat in it? Because this fight, like, I do have to admit my own biases. This fight is more impactful to me because Cat is here. But at the same time, like, it's so not a narrative part of this, really. Apart from, this guy, like, this random human didn't care about the cat. But at the same time, like, that, our dislike of him is also fueled by the fact that he is terrified of vampires. Like, you have the same level of badness, quote unquote, from him either way. Anyways, that is our Blood Oath. There's really not a lot else to say about it. It was fine, though. I mean, it's a good series, good art. I'm fine with the themes thus far. Uh, in terms of quality, though, it's got to go below Black Clover, or like in the overall ranking. Nothing super stood out, but it's fine. That's enough of that. Let us move on to Undead Unluck, number 41. Couldn't care less about pain. Hey, homie. Sorry about that. But we are back. We've got a strong juxtaposition between. I guess this is not the first time Fuko meets Andy, but it is like, Fuko saving Andy from. Oh boy, was he untouchable? Oh my gosh, every time. I think also the fuzziness of the censor bar makes it so much better than like a pure black box or like streaks, because it does take me a moment every time to go, oh, that's the censor bar. Unavoidable. That's right. Thank you, Gumu Gumu. If I were to no, like if I could reset my memories and I reread that, like chapter 3, chapter 4, like if I read that mini arc over and over again, I don't think there is a version of me that would have ever understood that that Shin is untruth. Like, I really appreciate chapter 3 for how unavoidable immediately makes you go, okay, so like they must be a pair with very similar abilities. So what exactly is like what is the pairing here? What is this thing that is like unavoidable, but it can't be unavoidable, but it is stopping Fuko from acting? Like, it does a good job of making you not think of something as extremely conceptual as truth. Oh my god, unavoidable truth. That's a real good one. I can't believe I didn't think about that until it was spelled out for me. Snap. Anyways, contrasting that, of course, with Andy, I guess, meeting Fuko for the first time chronologically in his memories, however we're going to take this. Like, however this is going to affect him. I mean, this does, of course, bring up the big questions like, can Fuko change Andy's memories? Or will Andy now have two separate streams of, this is what really happened, and then here's this version of events in which Fuko was here, and Fuko was talking to me, and through that, I now understand her a lot better. And he can speak Japanese. So, okay. I was thinking for a while that maybe he's not undead yet. Like, maybe this is when he was a human before he became a negator, but if he knows Japanese, like, I feel like that he has to be. Like, there's no way that within a normal, like, 20 years of being an American man, like, there's no way he would immediately understand Japanese. Like, to this degree. Who's this Andy even going on about? Right. Oh, are we gonna learn his real name? Or his, like, if there's a name he was using that was not Victor? Because I guess it is possible that, like, maybe he was using that name as well. You raise a good point, homie. I mean, to be fair, the reason I brought that up is because I was positing in the I was positing last chapter, or maybe it was the chapter before that maybe Victor was not the original Minds, and Andy is, Victor with the shrapnel in. I was positing that what if Andy is the original brain, and then Victor is a split personality that comes out when his brain's working at full capacity, But I guess it doesn't really fit with what we've seen of, like, the earliest points in their chronological history, where, Victor was a part of the Union, Victor was watching, the end of the Earth in at least one of the cycles. So yeah, he's probably got to be the first one, or the first mind that was there. How long has it been since we've had a tiny unlock? Or, like, I guess just, like a tiny casual unlock. It's been so long. Which, to be fair, like, Fuko does do a very good job of making sure she's not accidentally touching anyone. How do you do that? How does she earn their trust without just seeming like she's a witch? Like, what information could she pull out here? Oh, snap. I'm actually really surprised that she has this much Japanese in her. So, left shoulder, dead end. Left chest, 1865. My name is Fuko Izumo. I know your future. Which, to be fair, that feels pretty witchy. Serious Andy has such an energy to him. Like, he feels like a fundamentally different character. Like, it isn't just like a panel of Serious Andy. It is like the consistent Serious Andy that feels so weird. Did I say Japanese? Oh no. Oh no, I really messed that one up. I meant English. I meant, like, I was very surprised that she could say all of this in English. Oh no. I cannot escape the crazy thermites. But okay, at least it's enough that they're going to take her along. Oh, and you know what? If, like, that does confirm that within these memories, like, her technology doesn't work, but her negator ability does. And it is 20 times scarier for her to be Unluck in this setting where, like, Undead is still around. It's like, Andy is there, but most of their combo use of Unluck revolves around Andy being able to figure out how to use it most optimally. That, and also it's him, like, it's current Andy. It is Andy who has fully accepted that it's completely fine for him to just, rip off a piece of his finger and shoot it using the power of his finger regenerating. It's the Andy that's fine with him ripping himself apart. It's the Andy who will just, like, destroy his legs and then regenerate them and use the power of regenerating them to fly across the city. Like, I fundamentally think that this Andy, quote unquote, for lack of a better name right now, the captain, I don't think he's that comfortable with the idea of destruction and rebirth, which would mean that it would be a lot harder to use Unluck in that sort of way. Like, it doesn't feel like he's the kind of guy who would say, hey, touch my head, and then I'm going to rip my head off and toss it across the city so a meteor will hit it. Presumably, like, if this is the world of Andy's memories, if everything will occur, the way he remembers it, with the exception of whatever Fuko changes, then if he met an Unluck in the past, there's no reason why another Unluck can't exist. Like, this isn't a different dimension, right? This is his memories. So this world shouldn't actually operate under the rules of, the real world. It's like in the Kingdom Hearts Game Boy Advance game, where they go into the records that Jiminy Cricket was writing about the Kingdom Hearts games in order to erase a bug, and they send in Datasora to do that. Like, there are conflicts in that game that would not work in the real Kingdom Hearts universe, but it's fine there because it is all, it is all a, like, retelling of what actually happens. Oh, I mean, that brings up a much bigger question of, if Andy does a unlucked threesome Like, if he manages to get the previous Unluck to hold him on one side, Fuko's cuddling on the other side, they do the double kiss, and then they both run off. Like, if he dies in this palace, in this memory world, what happens? Like, does Fuko just kind of pop back out? Does she die? If you die in the memories, do you die for real? Wait, was it the real universe? I thought it was Datasora fixing Data Universe. Because, yeah, like, was it not that they found a weird glitch within the records? Was it affecting the real worlds? I don't remember that game very well. Oh, what a way to go out. Like, what if we get the reveal of, like, over the course of the series, every unlock has been, there's a second arc, and that one has all the previous unlocks just kind of chilling inside, and then we get the 100 girl orgy with Andy, and at the very end the universe implodes upon itself. Okay, right. I do remember that, actually. I forgot about that twist at all. I mean, of everything running and jump right now, Undead Unluck is the closest we got to some Kingdom Hearts. Hmm. This place feels too nice. It's too wholesome. It feels like this place is gonna get shot up real quick. Hmm. I guess it depends on how real they are. Like, the way it was said, uh, Fuko went into the giant book that is all of Andy's, life up to this point. So presumably, like, I don't know if you'd be able to channel the unlock into reality. It feels like, if any, if anything, like, if you channel the unlock, it should hit the book, right? Because the book isn't Andy. It is separate from him now. Hmm. Ah, okay. So he's just kind of wandering around. Which also makes sense. Like, so he's not at the point yet where he just wants to die. He does genuinely just want to know what his deal is. Perhaps it was, like, eventually meeting the Union and realizing that Victor was inside of him that caused him to want death. Like, not to take them both out, but just because he's done with life. Like, he's like, you know what, I got it. I don't know my past. I don't know who I am, but I know I want to get out. This is a pretty cool crew. And it does remind me, actually, that in Chapter 1, like, very early on, we did learn that Andy has, war friends. Like, from the Vietnam War, I believe. So presumably he is also doing the Wolverine thing of, like, he's kind of just, going through history, finding conflicts, and then helping out in them. Hmm. I mean, this is a tricky one, because they are yeah, that also makes sense. Like, they're not thinking of it as Fuko's from the future. They're thinking of it as Fuko knew Andy in the past. Like, in their past. In the future, you're almost always nude from the waist up. I don't know the reason behind it, but if I had to guess, I'd say the living as an undead for so long must have warped your sense of values about going shirtless at some points. Oh, and also in the future, use the katana, and you used your fingers as a gun. Hmm. Oh, I'm so. We could have the very first time chronologically that Andy, like, loses his pants and everyone sees his penis and everyone freaks out over it, but Fuko wouldn't because she's seen it so many times. Hmm. Ah. Hmm. So hardcore. I guess Fuko can cheese this if she touches this girl, or if she reaches out and touches Andy first. Like, if she touches someone else as she pulls the trigger, presumably they are going to take on, this is the most dangerous thing in the room. So a big burst of unluck would be, forcing this bullets to hit them instead of her. Hot damn. She just went for it. God damn. Even if there's only 1 in 6 chance, the Andy I know would never do that to someone who's not a fighter. Snap. Okay. That is really cool, because that is also, like, more so than proving that she has balls. It is showing that she knows Andy, or, she knows the captain. She knows this person that well. I think it also says a lot about me as a human being. That my first instinct was not, the gun isn't loaded because Andy's a good person, but rather, how would I use supernatural powers to have someone else die from those bullets? I think that says more about me than I wanted it to, but I'll own up to it. And yeah, that's a pretty strong comparison. That's such a unbelievable amount of faith as well. Like, it is such a powerful, like, I trust you so much, even though we have never met, that I, like, I am willing to die for this, or I'm willing to risk death because I firmly believe there is no risk here. Uh, Between Nagito and Fuko, I'd say Fuko still, but I mean, it's a toughie. It's a toughie. Oh boy, what? Okay. Sorry, I was looking at this from here and then looking right, as opposed to reading it from right to left. Like I thought this member of Fuko's crew or of Andy's crew was slapping them, as opposed to trying to shield them from the bullets. Also, this image of of Andy being shot in the head is so grisly because it isn't the classic, Andy's being shot, but it's completely fine because you know and he knows that it's going to be fine. But this is an Andy who does not realize he is undead. Like this is, for all intents and purposes, a fatal wound. I mean, if they're all dead, then I guess this is also a pretty strong splitting point of, like, in the past, this may have been the point when Andy decided, I want to die. Like, this is I've stopped caring about why I exist, now I'm done. Or, like, like, I do imagine that he probably wanted to die before he started becoming a crazy nudist who blows his legs off in order to fly faster. Like, I think there will be a clearly trackable, like, slide down of his sanity as we know it, like his normal human sanity, quote unquote, and the way in which he embraces his undead powers and gets way stronger. I think this could be like, this could be a really powerful moment for future Our Timeline Andy. If he has this memory, this alternative memory, in which his crew died all the way back here after the Civil War, but Fuko was there, and Fuko did help him get through that situation, and they were a duo for all that time. I mean, it depends on really how long this goes, because this is, like, it is a memory. It is this encapsulated world, where presumably the time in this world is not, moving at the same speed as the time outside in the real world. So we could have an arc that is Fuko and Andy going through America for like 100 years until Fuko's old and gray and she dies. It it all comes down to what the mangaka wants to do specifically. I mean, we could also just skip away from this entirely and jump like 50 years in the future. I didn't know what learning about Andy meant, but now I do. It meant learning about the many times he's had to say goodbye. Oh, God, this panel is so strong. There's such a powerful feeling of loss here. Like that all which also feels so unlike Andy. Like the Andy we know is someone who has lost so much that now loss doesn't really faze him. Or rather, like he's gotten to that isekai protagonist min-max status of like he's at the point where he doesn't have to lose anyone else. Where he can, in the moments do all those calculations or to make sure that he can save Fuko's life. Whereas this is such a human, such a flawed Andy. Someone just barely coming into the understanding that he is undead. Someone who will have to struggle with making friends and losing them over and over and over again. I don't believe this was confirmed to be the same setting. Like, the visuals definitely have the same energy to them, but it could also just be like generic town. Yeah, like it has that very old-timey, American town vibe, or like American Wild West vibe. But I could definitely see it being literally the same town. Also, such a strong title drop. Like, as a chapter title, it has a like an edgy vibe to it. But the way that final panel sells it is so good. Also, like, now that we've gone through that whole chapter, now that I've become more acclimated to the captain, I do really appreciate like how different they feel in this spread. Like how big and goofy Andy's grin is, how weird his hairstyle is. Like there's so much about him that just screams my like not my sanity has broken because he is still quite sane, but it is just like his view of the world is so indescribably different from the way it once was. And if he still has the tattoos, like, why is this the place? Is it because, like, is this the first time that he personally realized that he was undead? Because it does feel weird that if we're going through Andy's history, that we're not seeing, like, when he got those tattoos. I guess, to be fair, we also don't know that this is linear. It is possible that this is, like, a non-linear format that is structured in order to, like, have Fuko fully understand the depths of him. Yeah, that's what I mean though. Like it feels weird that like if Fuko's going through the like here's all of Andy's backstory, it feels weird that his tattoos would not be a part of that backstory or that she wouldn't have the chance to be there for his tattoos. I'm going to go with the theory of like it is not going to be fully linear. Like Andy and Fuka are going to exist linearly for a time. Like she's going to follow him, and then at some point either she'll die or something else will happen, and that'll like kick her back to when he got the tattoos. Because like we have brought up that this is Andy's story, but the reason why the book is so large is because it also contains all of Victor's portions. And I think it would make a lot of sense if it's not a like jumping back and forth, then at the very least it could be a Fuko stands with Andy and sees every single time he's had to say goodbye. She is with him in like this alternative timeline up until present day. And then once she understands who Andy is, she gets the chance to jump all the way back to Victor. And then she could see, that part of his backstory. Because it does seem like this is also a journey for both of them to figure out who he is. And there is a solution to learn like who he was prior to being Andy, but it's something that can only be done by virtue of going before this point. Oh, actually, what if that happens? Like, what if Fuko and Andy, like, continue on this journey for a while, like maybe skipping through his memories, and then instead of Fuko going to see Victor's memories, they both go back, so they both get to see it. I think that'd be really cool because then it's a like we would be able to see Andy reacting to his own, his own backstory, quote unquote, the backstory of this person that was him before he was him. Anyways, I am so down with this chapter. It's so good. Was longing, oh, actually, was longing the city, from the spoiler arc. I didn't think about it until just now. Yeah, because they did outright say longing. And presumably, like, they were out on the outskirts, like, making sure all the children are safe, which are the same children they were talking about in the city, or, in the town. So never mind. Yeah. So in that case, I will say it is 100% confirmed that that is the same town. It's such a quick thing that I didn't even notice it until we went back. Oh, God, Undead Unluck is so good. So, Undead Unluck is... I mean, it's gotta go to the top, right? I cannot, like, me and Roboco and Sakamoto Days are about on the same level, but this was above it. There's no fighting that. Jumps, like, in general, I'd say Jump is pretty hit or miss right now, but as long as Undead Unluck and Chainsaw Man are in Jump, I will be happy. Like, even, Dr. Stone and My Hero Academia are, a bit more hit or miss to me. Like, My Hero Academia has been very, very hit as of late for me. But Dr. Stone, which I used to think was the best thing in Jump, has been way more hit or miss. Whereas, like, Chainsaw Man and Undead Unluck have not really had a bad arc at all. Neither of those series have had a point where where I have said consistently, yeah, I'm not really into this one. I'm not really into that one.
You think Dr. Stone should have ended with the Tsukasa thing?
Absolutely not. That would have been such a bad series. But alright, so that is Undead Unluck. Let us move on to Chainsaw Man, Chapter 94. Chainsaw Man versus the Weapon Humans. Is this not the exact same chapter title as the first time he fought the Weapon Humans? It might be slightly different, but I'm pretty sure it was basically this exact title, right? Date Chainsaw. Text-to-speech really nailed that one, actually. You're right. Okay, it was Chainsaw Man versus the horrifying Weapon Humans. Huh. That's actually a really cool difference. So before they were the horrifying weapon humans, like even though I wouldn't say they were all that horrifying here, like Chainsaw Man was much scarier. But I think it is like I get the point of that statement. I get the idea of, like they're supposed to be imposing, they're supposed to be scary. We do get like this whole transformation sequence here. Like it is this big old spectacle. Whereas now, like, we saw them transform at the end of last chapter, and it wasn't even a transformation sequence. It was just here's the panel of them as humans, here's the panel where they've transformed. Like, Chainsaw Man's revving, like, the sound effects, if there were any, of the weapon humans transforming, were all drowned out by the revving sound of Chainsaw Man's chainsaws. I think that is really cool. I want to give props to that. It's such a small thing. That's really dope. Hmm. Now, I assume this is zombie? Yeah, it's zombie. Which, depending on what this memorial is for, this is pretty. I mean, regardless of what the memorial is for, this is really messed up. What is this Keikaku? I mean, I assume I have to believe there is some sort of plan here. If not Denji's plan, then Master's plan, or Kobani is doing something. I refuse to believe that they just sent him out and said, "Hey, just throw a rock at him." I mean, that's a pretty big rock. This is also, I mean, it can't do that much because, like, we saw big old Chainsaw Man just smashing him through buildings. But it's still, I mean, it's more planning than I expected. And it is him using, his chains as a whip, which we've seen a few times, but it is it's not his usual go-to. Ah, it's a Zabimaru thing. Okay. Hmm. Doesn't look like he's in a very good spot here. Yeah, he is being crushed. I mean, like, he's holding his own, but it's not as good as, when it was Chainsaw Man. Yeah. Like, Chainsaw Man had that almost Ultra Instinct violence to him, where, like, it seemed like every movement, even if the weapon humans got a hit in on him, he was still, like, constantly giving more damage than he was taking. And also, like, when he was taking damage, it didn't seem to affect him at all. Whereas this is a very clear, like, no, Denji's feeling this. Like, Denji is struggling to keep up. Bottom left is a reference to something. Yeah, it definitely has a referential energy to it. Like, especially with the, like, using a cross as, like, a sword to stab him. Yeah. The first thing that came to mind, there's no way this is it. It reminded me a little of that shot of the American troops, like, raising the flag, but in reverse. Like, instead of raising a flag, they're trying to pin down Chainsaw Man. But yeah, it has a very referential feel to it. Hmm. The whole world has accepted Chainsaw Man. They're even turning him into a merchandise character for consumption now. There's no need to fear him anymore. This is going to be such a good line in the anime. I know I say that about a lot of series, but usually I'm saying that about, like, interesting action moments, like things where I really want to see the movement of it. Whereas there's so much dialogue in this arc of Chainsaw Man that I think will work so much better once Chainsaw Man is explosively popular. Like, once it hits, once normies know about Chainsaw Man. I want to see I want to see a reactor who watches the first, like, 2 seasons of Chainsaw Man and really loves it, and they buy a bunch of Chainsaw Man merchandise and they do live reactions, and then during the reveal when Makima says specifically before this, like, when we start seeing the news reports and we hear Makima say that, by the way, your popularity is now a poison. I want to see that reactor set all their Chainsaw Man stuff on fire in hopes that they will change the episode. Like, if I had any Chainsaw Man merchandise, I would be setting it on fire right now in order to try and help Denji win. I guess it's also, like, in Precure, for instance, my favorite part about the Precure movies, especially the big team up ones, is that at the movie theater, they will give you, like, a light up wand thing, and there's always a point in the movie where the characters just straight up say, "Hey, we need more power," and, like, the fairies in universe pull out their wands and start shaking them, and then you in the audience are also supposed to be using your wands in order to give the Precure more power. And I feel like there's a very strong, like, reversal you could do with Chainsaw Man, where Makima turns to the camera and says, "If you have the Blu-ray of Chainsaw Man, you gotta take it out of your Blu-ray player and snap it in half." Or I guess it would be the opposite. I guess it would be her saying, "Please consume more Chainsaw Man merchandise, otherwise Denji will win." Oh, I forgot about Flamethrower Man. And yeah, you're right. I guess it would be VHS rights? Like, 97 was, like, DVD was a, like, experimental formats, but we didn't really get DVDs for consumption until, like, 2000, like, the early 2000s, I believe. It was all VHS before then, I believe. I mean, if we look at the popularity poll, we could we say that everyone's power levels are the opposite of the popularity poll? No, there's no way that makes any sense. It's a concept that I really like in theory, but in practice, I don't know how you would possibly do that in a way that is satisfying. I guess, like, if the series were to get canceled around now, I think Fujimoto could pull the big ol', like, if you are a popular character, you can't win, so I need the least popular character in Jump to come in, and then, who is the least popular character in Modern Jump? I think that'd be a really fun way to just have a character from a canceled series show up and cut Makima's head off. Oh, Chelsea. Hey, it's me, Chelsea, everyone's favorite Dr. Stone character. Let's make a bike. To be fair, also, like, if Chainsaw Man gets enough, like, if a Blue Exorcist happens, where there's enough, like, interest in the series to get a anime adaptation, but not enough to cover all the material, I could 100% see Fukumoto being the kind of person who would directly tell uh, tell the studio, do an original ending where everything goes bad and Denji dies for realsies, because we so rarely see that anymore. Like, even in series that basically know from the start they're not going to get second season, they will still do the, like, we're just going to leave this ambiguous, please go read the manga, please go, support the series, and maybe we'll be able to get a second season at some point. Whereas in the, like, 90s and the early 2000s, there were a lot more adaptations that were a straight up, we don't have enough material and we're not going to act like we want more material, we're just going to do an anime original ending. I'm a little afraid of Chelsea, to be fair, just a little bit. I'm scared that she's going to be very big in the series. Hmm. Is he pulling himself out via this? Because if so, that's got to be a heavy cross, or like a very deeply rooted cross. I know I'm not saying a whole lot about the action. Like, it is good, but it is also Chainsaw Man. Yeah, like, the chain movement is very cool. I do appreciate how dynamic all the movement is. But at the same time, like, I mean, it does bring up the previous, like the Chainsaw Man versus the horrifying Weapon Humans fights, which was so bombastic, which was so over the top, that it's hard to do a fight like that again without it feeling a little, a little weaker. Oh, you're right. That is so cool. Also, I think it is, like, I haven't really said this, but Reze does feel a lot weaker than she did when she wasn't simping for Makima. Like, before that point, she did feel much more destructive. Like, before transforming and then even after transforming. Like, in the whole, like, doll darkness fights, like that whole arc, she was really a force to be reckoned with. Whereas here, she feels about the same as any of the other weapon humans. Hmm. Is this GG? I mean, it doesn't look like he's doing too good. But this could also be a trap. Oh, I do mean Quan Chi. Right, right. Boy, I am just bad with names today. Big apologies. Oh boy. Okay, why? For what purpose? I mean, I guess maybe it is like, she still doesn't see herself as being fully above him. So even as weak as he is, even though he is not Chainsaw Man, in order to fully subjugate him, she does have to, like, come to blows with him. is Are people into this? Are these sexy Makima cheeks? I'm just gonna say the guy who Taishi Susui does, pulls in to draw the butts and We Never Learn definitely didn't draw this one. This is a very standard butt. Oh no. What is Reddit fetishizing about this now? Anyways, good chapter. Like, I don't think it's gonna beat Undead Unluck this week, but it was very solid. Also, like, big props to the background being so important. Like, it would have been cool if it was just they're fighting in a graveyard. But Zombie really added this whole extra layer, even though, like, the zombies themselves are not important in the slightest. Like, I do appreciate them existing in order to add this oppressive feeling of Denji is so overpowered, or, Denji is so outmatched, even though he isn't, even though they didn't really mean anything in this fight. But yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. Chainsaw Man goes under Undead Unluck. By the way, I did check. Definitely we don't have My Hero Academia. Just fairly sure. If they uploaded a sneaky My Hero Academia, do let me know, but I'm 99% sure. No My Hero this week. Okay, good. I'm always so scared because I won't, like, go to Reddit to check out, like, the official Japanese thing. Like, on Reddit, they usually do post a, like, here's everything running in Jump in Japan this week. And I'll look at that when I'm doing editing, just to make sure, like, okay, what's going on here? Were there any one-shots that we missed? Is there, anything I should be watching out for? It's a theory of mine. It's not confirmed, but usually when you see butts in We Never Learn, there is a very specific shading that goes along with them that is unlike anything else in the series. Like, even, like, there are a lot of mangaka that draw the boobs and the butts in a very similar way because they're both, like, very fleshy, very smooth parts of the body. But for some reason, like there is this like hyper detailed butt aesthetic. And I am convinced that there is like one assistant on Taishi's team that just draws those butts in particular. Not even all butts, but just like those specific, like when we have the final page in a chapter and a girl is saying something like, I'm sorry, but I can't feel love, or, there's no way my girlfriend is going to die. Like, we'll get a big statement like that, and then usually we will be also seeing their butts. And it is supposed to be a panel where we're looking at their faces and it's a big emotional moment, but also there's this very defined butt that looks different from everything else in the panel. And also, like, what it's just the way the shading works to me, and I have read all of We Never Learn. It's so different from even when Taishi is drawing something else that has a lot of shading. Like, if he's doing a goof or if he's, trying to draw something that's a little out of his wheelhouse. The butts are so unique in how they are drawn compared to everything else in the manga that I feel like there's gotta be a butt man. Anyways, I guess what I'm saying is this butt's doing nothing for me. But if Fujimoto has the extra funds, if he's making those big anime adaptation dollars, We Never Learn is about to end, so he could hire the butt man from We Never Learn, so that the final arc of Chainsaw Man has some really, really defined butts. Anyways, that is Chainsaw Man. Good series. Not enough booty, but it's still fine as is. It's no Undead Unluck. Undead Unluck has some pretty decent booty in it as well. In the same way, sorry, a slight tangent. In the same way that a lot of like Chinese and Korean manhwa creators will draw the genitals and then blur them out so that like there is a uncensored version that exists, even if they can't release it. Like they still kind of keep it just in case, an international like rights holder wants it. In the same way, I wonder if Undead Unluck is drawn with penis and then it is censored. Because I don't think that would make any sense. Because no one would want that. But at the same time, I can't, like, because the censor bar exists, I will never know whether the mangaka draws the penis and then censors it, or just puts down the censor bar and then, doesn't have to draw anything there. It's just an easy, don't have to draw anything there. He does have to know how big to make it. So I feel like he's got to be doing at least something for scale. I mean, I can't say I wouldn't want it. I would pay extra for like a special edition of Undead Unluck, where the censor bar is like a physical thing that you can peel off, so you can customize which Andy shots have dong and which shots are censored. Anyways, I think we are going down a path that I will not be able to return from, so let's quickly abandon that and move on to Dr. Stone, Z equals 175. Ultra Race across South America. Ultra Race. This is a very, very good Luna. So capable, such gal. So unbelievably thin. Her entire midsection is like one of Senku's hands, and Senku does not have big hands. See, Boichi definitely does not have an ass man. Boichi draws all the butts by himself, and I think that's very apparent with, like, whatever is going on here. The more I look at Luna, the more I realize she's not that far off from Ginro. Like, she's got boobs, but the rest of her body, like, she's got some thigh here, but even, like, Ginro has thighs. And those are some skinny Ginro arms. So the hairstyle's not that far off. Have we ever seen Ginro and Luna in the same room? I know they've been on the same ship in different places, but have we seen them in the same room? That's all I'm saying. Anyways, time for the Ultra Race. Also, yeah, that is a strap. I was looking at it for a second going like, is she wearing khakis? But no. That is just like not a bandolier. It's just a strap around her leg. I will always be a sucker for when a sound effect happens and then a character says the sound effect. Like, warmp. You can pull and stretch and make it go warmp. It's so good. It's been so long since we've had a just straight up Ginro, or not Ginro, oh no. No, taking that one back. Just a Chrome being hurts gag. Or just, I guess, like a person being hurt gag in general. Like, this is just some classic Impact comedy. Oh boy, let me pull that up real quick on Discord. Mm-hmm. Hi, Boichi-sensei. My dream is to know how to draw sexy characters like you. Each of your works touched me through their drawings, but it's time to share your secrets. Ah ha ha ha. When you're drawing characters in a place such as a living room with chairs, how do you proceed from drawing to inking? How do you compose your drawing skeletons, especially for female characters under all action angles? Thank you, and Happy New Year 2017. Hmm. Thank you so much for your kind words, but you have some misunderstanding about me. I have no secret. I'm a classy gentleman, the likes that can be found in the 19th century, Victorian time. Thank you for specifying, Boichi. I'm a very honest and elegant person. Some people says I love to draw girls' butts, going as far as worshiping them, but it's not true. They're just rumors. How could I be? Hello? Hello? When you look at my female characters, I hope you'll see them dancing. Okay. Dancing is a show of the dancers' beauty aimed at us. Their bodies are creating a magical performance. It shows the beautiful curves and flow of the body, as well as how beautiful the human body is. Okay. Hmm. Much like Araki, I am actually surprised that Boichi also has focused on the pelvis. Like Araki has famously said, the pelvis moves up and down. That's what I find fun. Like a lot of Araki's like poses and a lot of the character movement starts with the pelvis, and I can see that with Boichi actually. Like we jump back here, yeah, like I can definitely see the pelvis being the core of this. It's a weird pelvis though, because she's got kind of a big turn going on. It does make more sense as as a dancer though. Like this does have a dancing energy to it, where like a pose in a dance can look really weird, but it's only weird because that dancer's doing it for a split seconds. Whereas like because it's a static image, your brain makes you think like, oh, they're holding that pose. That must be really difficult. Hmm. When you start inking, focus on the details, such as the detailed lines of muscles and wrinkles from clothings. Same thing for the sitting pose too. Focus on the butts. No, I mean, not the butts. Believe in me. Classic Boichi. I probably shouldn't have said that all out loud. This kind of thing is something that like I have been doing a lot of like looking into cultures, and the concept of people just having a thing but then just sort of like sitting on it and not doing anything with it is something that blows my mind constantly. Or like, like how the Chinese had like fire spears, which were basically just like a firework on a spear, and you just kind of aim the spear and shoot a firework from it. And they kind of just did that for a long time. Like gunpowder as we know it, like there is this big gap between gunpowder and gun, even if it seems so obvious in hindsight. Ah, time to take advantage of Taijun's infinite strength. Ah, I really like their dynamic. Like, I'm really happy that we have this dynamic of Dr. Zeno truly believing in Senku, and he is like their survival is his survival. He's completely fine with that. It is that it's that perfect, caring too much about science in order to let them tank using inferior science. It's so good. Have they ever used an air pump for that before, or did they make an air pump specifically for this? I can't remember them pumping up anything else. I mean, I guess the hot air balloon is not pumped full of air. There's hot air in a hot air balloon. It's in the name. I forgot about that. No, don't let it go overboard. You just made it. This is so wild. But I mean, it does also make logical sense, like why they wouldn't wait until they've hit land before they start, tearing apart the boat. So what are they going to see? Like, I think this is going to be just as they get a visual, like all the motorcycles have already been made. But I feel like we're still missing some steps from going from tires to motorcycle, right? Oh, right. It was the mobile lab. That's what they saw. Right. Sorry, I was thinking of it as they've already taken care of the mobile lab, and now they're finally coming over to where the real crew is. Okay, they have way more time than they thought they did then. God, Stanley's mask is so cool. It's been a while since we've seen, just big old forests don't really give me the vibe of, the world has changed. Even though, it has changed. Like, most of Japan is now forests. It still doesn't feel weird because forests are so natural. Whereas this does give it, the idea of going to a South American island and the first thing you see is, all desert. That does give me a much different vibe. Our motorcycles will run on wood? The heck, that's totes awesome. Is it? Is it? I don't know if I understand Chelsea. I don't know what makes her happy. I don't know what makes her sad. Like Luna, for instance, I do really like Luna as a character. And I think a big part of that is that I get her. Like I get her cockiness. I get her like, when she does like lose faith in herself and she has to hype herself up by saying she's a capable gal. Like it is very clear that, she likes some boys. There are other boys that she doesn't really like at all, but they are hopelessly in love with her. Like everything we know about Luna is very simple and very easy to understand. Whereas Chelsea seems like she kind of just is excited by everything. Yeah, which isn't bad. But like we have Suika, for instance, like someone like Suika or someone like even Chrome. Like if you're gonna do a science thing, Chrome should be the one going like, "Oh, it's so cool." If it's just like a new piece of technology that someone's gonna have their minds blown by, Suika makes sense as a very like innocent small person who doesn't understand a lot of things. Like there are niches specifically for different types of reactions, which is also why Dr. Stone doesn't have the Morking problem, where in Morking, I can never remember her name, but the sister character kind of just does the same reaction over and over again, and she's one of the only like recurring characters that does horrified no reactions to things that are happening. And so it gets very grating. Whereas Dr. Stone's really been able to avoid that by having such a large variety of characters that react to things and that have, an incorrect idea of what's going on. I guess so. And to be fair, like it's not like that's unrealistic for a modern timer. There's so many things that have happened where like I will learn about something that's completely normal and I will go like, "Oh wow, that's so cool," because I've never considered it. Okay. We're making one boss bike and 5 baby bikes. Boss bike okay. Hmm. So it's going to be like a weird like a pentagram spider almost. Oh, that's so smart. Hence the plan to make exactly Sin's motorcycle. Yeah, that completely take like one of the big problems I was about to that was just barely dawning on me was like I understand how they could like they've got the wheels or they've got the tires. Making wheels isn't that difficult, but making an engine, like making a the biggest part of the motorcycle, the motor, is pretty wild. But if they already have motors, they good. And now it's starting to get spicy. So I do still think Stanley's gonna rock up, or Stanley's crew is going to rock up here just as they finished making the monstrosity that is the big bike and the tiny bikes surrounding it. I'm so excited to see what this looks like. Like, legitimately, I haven't been this excited for the design of something since the cell phone. Since I was such a big, like, where are we going? Like, what is this thing going to look like? A lot of things that they've made have been more or less identical to the way they look in our time. But there's no way this is going to look like a Harley Davidson and a bunch of tiny Harley Davidsons. There's no way. Oh boy, here we go. Oh, and that's also a good bonus. Like, because they took all the internals out of the ship, there's still the shell of the ship they can use as a big surprise. Oh, this Senku face is filled with such punchable energy. I don't dislike Senku, but my fist is moving from my keyboard to the monitor. I can't control it. He does look like Janai for all of those El Hazard, the Magnificent World stands out there. Ah, okay, motorcycles acquired. So the big boss cycle is like it is so much chunkier. Oh my god. I can't believe this face. Like it is the exact same expression, but it's so filled with smug. It is the most punchable face I've ever seen. We can and we even have Suika still around, so if they find a I mean, we have a person who could also put on the mask if they needed to, assuming that they all have the exact same prescription. But I don't want to see Chelsea as Kamen Rider. But there still is the possibility. I mean, I guess we just see Kinro with the mask on as Kamen Rider. Ah, such punchable energy. But yeah, fantastic chapter. Like, it's not. It's definitely a more impressive Ultra Race than this Ultra Race. Yeah, and legitimately, like, I'm not warming up to Chelsea, but she's been staying pretty neutral in terms of impact. Like, if she's just gonna be the hype person slash the like, hey, I'm gonna be the one who tells you about South American geology, it's fine. Not my favorite, but like one character is not going to tank a series for me. But yeah, fantastic chapter. Like, I think also specifically the destruction of the ship made it really like it made it feel much more satisfying because it was this like There is no going back. They can't compromise on this one. It is a all or nothing. We've got to tear this apart in order to maybe escape. And if we escape, then we're good. Yeah, geography. You're right. You're right. But yeah, Dr. Stone, fantastic. What is this? That's pretty cool. I'm not a big fan of most of the Dr. Stone covers, but I mean, ever since they got past the, big stony texture on the cover era of the covers, they've been better. I guess it's more just like none of them really stand out to me as a really cool cover. Like they're all just fine. Or I personally consider them all to be just fine. What is my favorite Dr. Stone cover? Like one of my favorites images is still the Glass Worlds image that was there pretty early on, but that wasn't like a cover or anything. That was just a uncolored cover image. Ooh, actually, this one might be my favorites. That is really cool. Yeah, I'm going with volume 15. That's so nice. Yeah, I think everything else has the problem of like what is going on isn't super interesting to me. Like, I do appreciate that most of them aren't very cluttered. They are pretty iconic as well. Like, I can look at each one and go like, okay, I remember which arc that is, or I remember which chapter that is. And, the stuff around it then has to be in that volume. But, yeah, just a lot of them don't really stand out to me as a big ol' I love it. Did we have anything else? I guess not. Better rank this boy. Oh, I'm really surprised Senku's on all of them. Like, he has been in every arc, even if he's been incapacitated to some extent. I mean, I guess he is Dr. Stone. I was just talking about how, like, I don't want to, like, when I first saw the cover of Jump, I didn't want to say, this man is Sakamoto, because I didn't want to be, like, the kind of person who just points at Senku and goes, oh, that's Dr. Stone. But to be fair, he kind of is Dr. Stone. Okay, that is it. Ranking is, I'll give it a solid, maybe above Chainsaw Man? Maybe above Chainsaw Man? Yeah. So, Undead Unluck, Dr. Stone, Chainsaw Man, Sakamoto Days. Yeah, that works. The pre-recordeds are safely below all of the live recorded series. Oh yeah, you're right. Our Blood Oath is, yeah, it's a bit of an outlier. I don't think that they'll have the, like, I think if we do get a cover, like, because he's been on every single cover, I think if we do get a cover where Senku's out of commission, it's got to be a full volume where he's completely out of commission. Like, he was extremely hurt, but he was still contributing to that arc. So I feel like we're probably not going to get that until, like, later in the series even. Like, much later. Like, the arc after this arc, if anything. Either that or, like, maybe if we do a Y-Man arc. I could see Y-Man, like Y-Man's big flashback, if he takes a full volume, being one that doesn't have Senku in it. Anyways, that's Dr. Stone. Let's move on to the author comments. These are the author comments for, yeah. I keep on forgetting because it's so far away. It's been like 4 whole days. Yeah, I mean, so far, Yuta Suzuki seems pretty talented. I'm excited. I hope Sakamoto Days sticks around and becomes a big series that everyone really likes. What can you not eat with non? Answer, non-thing. Komoto, why? Wait, working from home plus 140 pages a month is rough. What is Boichi doing that is 140 page, like, is he still doing Origin? What else is there? Because there's Dr. Stone, a spinoff, right? And yeah, I guess the A spinoff is probably like a monthly length. Yeah, that's why I was confused. I thought the only thing he was working on right now was Dr. Stone, but I forgot about the A spinoff entirely. But yeah, like each chapter of Dr. Stone is like 20-ish pages, so that's 80 in a week or 80 in a month. Even then, like, there's no way the A spinoff is like 60 pages, right? I mean, maybe he's doing other stuff as well. Oh, maybe volume work. That would make sense. Because he's also not saying, like, 140 pages every month. So I'm assuming this is a specific, like, right now in this month, like, in November, it is, like, he had to do 140 pages. Yeah. If we're including, like, promotional material, or if he's doing another one-shot or something, like, whether it is a Dr. Stone thing, or whether it is Jump just saying, like, hey, do you want to do a one-shot, or do you want to collaborate with a different writer or something? Like, yeah, you're right. There's a bunch of things he could be doing in this month that won't show up until later. There's a small there's a small YouTube channel I like, and I always look forward to new videos being posted. It's so small the creator would freak out if I mentioned the channel here. Oda, that's so much scarier than if he specified which channel it is, because, Like, it's less scary for the individual person, sure. But I think it is scary to all people who have small YouTube channels that are reading the author comments of Jump. Oh no, Oda Sensei. Oh no. I don't know if I can handle Oda watching my videos. I mean, it is Oda as well. He might be watching like Good Mythical Morning and saying like, oh, it's 30 million people, that's nothing. I found this small channel called Smosh. But no, I do want to believe it's someone really tiny, like 100 subs. Because Oda does also seem like the kind of person who would just, be flipping through stuff randomly on YouTube, just trying to find something fun. It's probably some Japanese person just making like wilderness videos or something. I did the thing where you buy protein once a year and it feels like you lose weight. What is that? Like, is he talking about whey protein? Or does he just mean like he doesn't buy anything with protein in it except for one time a year? If you keep diluting black coffee, it becomes barley tea. Give it a try. I'm skipping a lot of these comments, by the way. A lot of these just aren't very good. I never thought I'd draw a scene like that, but I was confident that Suzy would definitely do that. What is going on in Ayakashi Triangle? Did the characters in Ayakashi Triangle finally realize that girls can like girls? Did it finally happen? My hands are so dry that my fingerprints can't be read, and my face can't be recognized because of the mask. Checkmates. These last 3 weeks have made me realize this manga normally has no girls in it. I have been caught up with A Gravity Boys. It's been a good arc. It has been the arc that everyone thought was going to happen in chapter 2, but instead it's happening in like chapter 50 or wherever it is right now. It is like A Gravity Boys is good. It's the kind of series where I wouldn't put it back on the rotation because I have nothing to say about it. It's one of those like, I know my style by this point. I can't say anything great. Like, nothing I say while I'm reading A Gravity Boys is fun. It's all just weird. Wait, what? I've never met Rumiko Takahashi, but congratulations on receiving the Medal of Honor with Purple Ribbon. What does that mean? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, like, if any mangaka won the Medal of Honor. Like, also, which Medal of Honor? Like, the one in, okay. So, specifically, the Medal of Honor with Purple Ribbon is a national honor bestowed upon individuals who contribute inventions or discoveries. So is it just because of her overall manga work? Or anyways, I believe that is it. I'm gonna give this a solid bottom of the barrel. If you are the kind of person who doesn't read anything in Jump, but you can't get it, you can't get enough of these author comments, I'll say even to you should probably skip them this week. These are not good author comments. I'm so surprised, by the way, that so rarely do I ever see an author comment that feels like clickbait, that feels like I should read this series because of this. Like, even from gag series. Like, I wouldn't expect Oda to say something like, oh, Zoro is using a sword in the newest One Piece, check it out. But I would definitely imagine, like, the Mashal mangaka saying, like, big punch this time. To be fair, I could see Fujimoto also saying big punch this time. But I would imagine that Komoto would be saying it completely genuinely, whereas Fujimoto would be saying it as a clear, like, in the most ironic sense possible. Anyways, that's enough of me. Thank you all so much for watching. This has been a fantastic time. If you got anything you want to say about anything, please leave it on the channel or leave it in the comment section down below if you're watching it on YouTube. Or, go to the server. Even if you are watching this on YouTube, you can go to the server. Server's free to join. Thank you all so much for watching. Bye for now. Yeah.